Kyle, ready?
Yep.
All right, folks, we will call our city commission meeting to order at 7 PM, May 5th, 2025. We have a quorum by the narrowest of margins, so let's start with our pledge of allegiance.
I allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up, we got our minutes for April 21st, 2025. Those are the regular commission meeting minutes. You guys have a chance to look at them? Good, we'll need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as posted.
I'll second.
Okay, with a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written, we'll move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Commissioners report, Kyle.
In regards to streets, the guys have been going around town, been doing some crack sealing in preparation for our chip seal project coming up in June. That's still ongoing. They're coming along pretty good. Other than that, nothing too major in regards to street project stuff. I was talking with Josh on regards to police commissioner spot. They did have some issues with their impound lot. Someone decided to throw rocks over the fence and through some windshields. So there are some vehicles that were damaged, just a couple days ago, unfortunately. Probably more to come on that. And then they were having some more issues with the canine squad car. The AC cooling has not been up to par. They did bring that to Ford to get checked out to get repaired. But hopefully have that back in a couple days. All I got for those two departments.
Nothing too much on my end. Coming up next Monday, we're gonna start holding interviews for the deputy auditor position that we would like to fill, so hopefully we have some good interviews and get some results. That's pretty much all I got.
Okay, Kyle, I feel for you. You say there's not a whole lot, but there's a whole lot going on. It's just we're working on a whole lot of different things and it's tough to remember all of them. I think probably the only noteworthy thing I'll say is our softball field relocation is going as we expected, which is nowhere. That Clomer still hasn't been approved. They want more comments, more directions, so last meeting, we talked about moving the scoreboard, the old scoreboard from that field to the one on the south side of the road. I reached out to Almers. They said give them a week. It's been 2. I'm kind of hoping we just kind of take that into our hands. And Tyler, I know you're going to help out with that. Hopefully, yeah. Let's just do it. Let's just get it done. Because as we suspected, the plan or lack of plan to get that softball field up and going, it just doesn't look good for this year at all. So I'm worried about next year. So let's gussy up what we have. Unfortunate, but you know, when a project comes together the way it did, you can kind of expect some of that stuff to happen. Okay, modifications and or approval of the agenda. How's it look, guys?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
And make those section there.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as written. Move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, moving on to old business. Liz, you're up.
Whoop, can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Here I am. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button for video. I'll try to be light this evening along with you gentlemen. Couple of items of interest, I guess, which don't appear on the agenda, but which have, you know, been raised at previous meetings. Today, shortly afternoon, I did receive an email from Josh Reiner at Moore Engineering providing some proposed storm sewer ordinance updates. As you'll recall, and without having the benefit of exploring that between shortly afternoon and this evening, I think we were working on that because we were trying to create some more fiscally sensible and practical regulations regarding our storm sewer situation. There were some conversations about that. In any case, Kyle was copied on that. Dan was copied on that. As soon as I have an opportunity, I'll make it through those ordinances and then it'll go to the commission for full consideration. Other point of interest, but that is on the agenda, and I'll just wait to hear from you gentlemen tonight as you may decide. We are discussing the official newspaper for the city. Technically under that statute, we caught it at the end of last meeting. We're supposed to decide that at our first May meeting or as near thereto as practicable. So we have a little bit of wiggle room, but it would be nice to have that discussion and know that. And if you direct me, I'll certainly get a resolution consistent with whatever you decide. And then I guess it's worth noting that late last week, Josh Reiner did supplement the invoice that we need to have continued discussions with Strata regarding those LDs or the assessment of LDs, because Brett, as you know, their lawyer didn't have the invoice. That came to me late last week from Josh due to a software migration, which slowed that down. So I will get that to Riley in the next day or two, and hopefully we'll have some kind of update from Riley and his camp at the next meeting. But I think that's all I have for now.
Liz, could you send that to me as well?
I will, yes. And in fact, I will send that before I send it off to Riley, maybe. That way, if
Okay.
you and I need to review anything, we can do that.
Okay,
Perfect.
all right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Old business number 2, approval of city bank depositories. So we need to designate a primary bank. What do you think?
I'll make a motion to approve the Bank of Tioga as the primary bank.
I second that.
Okay, do you need to, Liz, do we need to add anything onto that as far as resolution, or is that motion good as is?
No, I think that's fine. And if we need to paper it, just direct Wendy and I to prepare a resolution consistent with that directive. That would be fine.
All right, well, we have a motion and a second to designate the Bank of Tioga as our primary bank. We'll move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. New business. We have a letter of interest for a Tioga Airport board seat. Let me pull it up real quick. Because I'm not gonna read this whole thing to you. He he put a lot of time and thought into this. I know you guys have reviewed it as well. The gentleman's name's Eli McMillan. He resides in Epping. He's got a lot of flight hours. He's been involved in the airport already. The little bit of vetting that I've done on him, he sounds like an exceptional guy.
On that note, I'll make a motion to approve the authority appointment of Eli McMillan.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the authority appointment for Eli McMillan. Any discussion on that? Move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next up, the big one, audit proposal. Put up here with me, guys. Okay, we all know what this is about. We've had countless community members ask for an outside audit to be done. Every year we do a financial audit by Rath and Meyer. That's great. I know there was a lot of want to bring somebody outside that will kind of turn over every stone, look at every policy, procedure, our process, our finances, and just look until we're satisfied. So this proposal, she is very well known. got an incredible resume. She's been doing this for a lot of years. I had a real brief talk with her a couple weeks ago about the idea of doing this. She had a proposal the next day to me. Essentially what this looks like is she'll be reviewing the last 5 years of financial and governmental processes for the city of Tioga. It can be expanded back further than 5 years if issues are found. She'll be generating a report of listing findings and recommendations, regular reporting to the commission, city visits for gathering information, and any other request made by the commission in writing. It's a hefty price tag. I shouldn't say it's hefty. It's a really good rate. Her proposal is not to exceed 75,000. If we want more done, we can always reevaluate that, but worst case scenario right now, it looks like the most we would spend on it is 75,000. Unless it needs to go back further, unless we need more detail. Oh, that's quite a bit lighter than I was expecting. I got a lot of confidence in her. She was giving me a rundown on her background and some of the things that she's done in the past. I think this will be a cakewalk for her. And it's something we need, right? We have a new auditor. She deserves to know that she has a clean slate to work off of. We deserve to know that we have a clean slate to work off of. It's something that hasn't been done in I don't know how many years. It's a good maintenance thing to do. So if the proposal looks good to you guys, we'll need a motion of some sort. If it doesn't look good to you, we'll need a motion of some sort.
I'll make a motion to approve this financial audit from Mary Ellen Janome. Is that how you say that? Right?
Not real sure on that.
Okay, well, I'll make a approval for Mary Ellen to do a financial audit, as written in the proposal.
This is a forensic audit.
Forensic. Okay. I approve Mary Ellen to do a forensic audit, just as written in the proposal.
I second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the forensic audit as written in the proposal. Is there any discussion on that?
Well, I mean, I'll just add that, you know, I thought it'd be a lot more, so I'm pretty pleased with the price. I mean, I was told it was a really, really hefty price you'd have to pay to do such a thing. So that was far less than I thought it was going to be. And it's probably going to be a lot of work, which is kind of unfortunate, but I think, it needs to happen. That way we have a clean slate, because we haven't really got to do a lot of our own stuff yet. A lot of it's been cleaning up previous stuff. So it'd be nice to know that we have a clean slate going forward for everybody.
I think you guys need to know that, the auditor needs to know that, but also the citizens of Tioga need to know that. I think that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with checks and balances are always a fantastic thing, especially with the capacity that we're in right now. That way we know that from here on out, we're good to go, so.
Yeah, and Bob, to your point, as far as the citizens need to know that, I mean, this was a request from the citizens, like multiple. I can't even tell you how many people that have approached me and asked if we could get something like that done, and so far it's been, well, can we find someone to do it for one? Because finding a competent professional auditing team to do something like this is challenging. Found one, thank goodness, for community member that pointed us in the right direction, but two, that's pretty much all we've done so far is whatever the community wants. We haven't done any projects or anything that the board has just pulled out of thin air and decided to do. We're not going to do that. We didn't sign up to do that. It's all community driven. And I think the third thing is that darn fuel station that we squashed, you know, we've got a pretty sizable refund check coming, and that will get pretty close to covering this thing. that money essentially was lost for all we knew. And next thing you know, it's not lost. So I can't think of something better to spend that money on than this. Okay, so we do have a motion and a second. Done with discussion? Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving on to the Kaiser seal replacement quote. This one is long overdue, and Kyle, you'll probably have to help me out, but this is for the lagoon, correct? We've got some shaft seals that are going out on us that need to be rectified.
Yeah, it's out at the lagoon. There's two Kaiser blowers to aerate the sludge pond. And we're getting more leakage around the shaft seals, which the air compressors have to work harder to keep that capacity efficiency. So that would remedy this issue with the leakage around the seals. That's what this is.
So that quote all in is $5,882.65. That includes travel from Minnesota, which is the majority of the quote, unfortunately.
I make a motion to approve the Kaiser quote in the amount of $5,882.65.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Kaiser quote. We'll move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right,
I got a
city,
question on that, just real quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you're replacing them seals and stuff, is that a big job, or is that something that maybe some of the city officials should be to try to train them how to do some of that stuff, or?
so on paper, it's not a big job. I mean, how many shaft seals have you replaced in your career? Probably hundreds of them. I know it's not a big deal, but they actually have to rent a tool for this one. Just the tool rental alone is like $1,000. So it's not something that we have in-house right now. You better believe that the guys are gonna be watching them when they do it, so they learn how to do it in the future.
But I'm just saying, to travel that far, you're probably gonna have $1,000 at least just travel.
Yeah, this is gonna be kind of in my mind, this is our training session to learn how to do it, so we
And
know
how
what
much
tool
does
to
it
get.
Cost for the tool, that's my point.
I don't know.
You guys can think about it, just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, the goal on stuff like this is to start doing it in-house going forward, because it's expensive to have third-party people come out and do.
Yeah.
Gosh, like I said, a lot of us have changed out shaft seals on pumps and blowers, and I mean, that's how we make our bread, right? Okay, citywide cleanup, so we just need to approve these dates. These are the free landfill days for City of Tioga residents. It would be May 10th from Saturday at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., May 13th from Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., May 15th, which is Thursday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and the 17th, which is Saturday, 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. So we just need your guys' blessing to approve the free landfill days.
I make a motion to approve the free landfill days.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the free landfill days. We'll move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, moving on, official newspaper designation. You guys know the story on this. We've heard from the Journal in Divide County. We've heard from Williston Herald, who's already our paper. Both gave really good presentations in my mind. So we have to designate a newspaper and have Liz draft up a resolution. So what do you guys think? I see benefits on both sides of the fence. I don't think there's a poor choice either way. But last time we talked about this, I told you like one of the things that's super important to me is exposure for our kids, our little guys, our teens, especially our athletes. Get them as much exposure as we possibly can. I think we're in the best spot possible. So it's just a matter of which paper do you guys think will get that for us?
I make a motion to approve Williston Herald as official paper for Tioga.
I'll second.
Yeah, we got a motion and a second to, can I call it designate? Designate the Williston Herald as Tioga's official paper. And then we'll also need, Liz, you're still listening, we'll need you to help with that, the tail end.
Absolutely. Yep, I will prepare that resolution and shoot it off to you and Wendy for review.
Okay, all right, guys, we'll move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, we've got some gaming site authorizations we gotta trudge through. First one is for the Tioga Sunrise Hotel. That's tough to read. American Foundation for Wildlife. Pretty much your stock gaming license that you see in some of our establishments in town.
I'll move to approve the gaming site authorization application from Tioga Sunrise Hotel.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the gaming site authorization for the Tioga Sunrise Hotel. Any discussion on that? Move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. And then like in kind, a gaming site authorization application for poor decisions.
Move to approve the gaming site authorization application for board decisions.
A motion. Is there a second?
Sorry, I was reviewing quick. I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the gaming site authorization for poor decisions. We'll move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. And then lastly, on new business, we have a local charity permit. This looks like just a raffle. Proceeds go into the Timothy McFarland and medical expenses. Exact value of prizes are about $2,300. Oh, I should say the date of the activity is May 10th. Okay. Sorry, May 31st.
Make a motion to approve the local permit for the McNally family.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the local charity permit. Don't assume there's any discussion on that. We'll move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. On to the consent agenda. So we got payroll for 5/7, the pledge holdings for First State Bank, April 25 bills and May 25 bills.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. We'll move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Oh boy, we're only in this thing 24 minutes. What do you think, guys? Do you have anything you want to talk about? Come on.
My name is Bob Anderson, if you don't know it.
Above average.
Anyway, I have a question, and it pertains to the Williston paper last week with about the laptop and all that kind of stuff, and I'm just wondering, that night that Abby was let go, did she clean out her office that day, that night, or the next day?
I don't know
Josh,
about
could you
that.
answer that? No.
I'm certainly happy, Bob. Josh can give you the particulars. And as I recall, I think I appeared via Zoom for that meeting. On that hearing night, of course, the commission came in without predetermination, so nobody knew exactly what was going to happen with Abby. And my recollection was that that was actually compound. On night one, she was suspended, and Commissioner Iverson specifically instructed her that she was to have civilian-only access, and to provide to the city all equipment. I don't think the commissioners or myself, at least at the time, was aware that there was a laptop that was at issue. Subsequent to that, a few days later, pursuant to that statute, we had the actual removal hearing. Again, when the commission made its decision towards termination, there was an instruction that all of our personal property or all of the city's personal property be returned to the city, and that we would make arrangements for Abby to collect her belongings. I don't know that Abby actually cleaned out her office. That's a question, but I know that Brett mainly and I arranged to have another staff member bring Abby belongings that she identified. So I don't know that she was even back in that office, is my recollection, but you guys can share beyond that to the degree you know.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
It's not-
Afterwards, we found out there was a laptop. I asked our former auditor, like, when one of our employees was bringing her personal belongings out to her, if she could give that, our city-owned equipment to him, and it never happened. So all we can do is request, if those
So
requests
at
aren't.
that
granted.
point, so if that is Tioga City's property, right? The laptop is Tioga City's property, right?
Correct.
And you ask for it to be returned. If she doesn't return it, what is that called?
I understand, and it was turned over to the proper authorities.
But it's 7 months later and there's no charges.
It's turned over to the authorities that are, I guess, handling that. We'll put it that way. We're not giving up.
I understand that.
We
The only
want, we
thing
still
I was
want it
wondering,
back.
how it couldn't handle, as far as the laptop, couldn't handle it right in Tioga, just go get it. Instead of deferring it to Williston, and now it's 7 months later and nobody knows anything about it in the community. You know what
Well,
I'm trying to say?
We're working that.
No, I understand you are. It's just that a simple laptop and, I mean, it's not too hard to get a sheriff's department and a search warrant and go get it.
You would think that, Bob. And I don't think anyone on the board disagrees with you. There was a dispute, and I think we discussed that at a prior meeting. Ms. Salinas asserts that that's her personal property. Definitely you're entitled to an open records request if you wish to see the complete file. That would probably fill some gaps for you. The city asserts that that's certainly city property. We stand by that position, and it has been referred. The reason the city can't just march into anyone's home, right, and take property that's in dispute, just like a private person can't. That's not the way the law works, frustrating as it may be in obvious or what seem to be obvious circumstances. But we have to rely on them because in part we have a conflict, and also in part when our department charges something that's beyond a misdemeanor, and theoretically the city courts don't have the capacity to deal with anything that's would result in a jury trial or a potential jail sentence. That's something that automatically defers to the district court.
Right, and I understand that, but what I'm getting at is it would have been pretty simple for our own police department and maybe the sheriff to at least go try to retrieve it instead of just handing it away. Because then it wouldn't have been 7 months later and all these emails and everything deleted. Is my point behind it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I certainly understand that, Bob. We just were we're constrained by the same legal process as every city and every government on earth. And I would not send our law enforcement officers into a situation where they were to violate, whether they meant it in a good way or a bad way, someone's constitutional rights, or that they might compromise an ultimate prosecution of a viable offense for their own conflicts of interest or their own limitations and restraint. That would be unwise.
Right, I understand that part, but as far as the laptop, there must be a paper trail showing that the city of Tioga paid for that machine, right?
There
That's
is,
correct.
yep.
So to my point, why didn't we just go get it 7, 8 months ago? And the one, we'd have been a lot further along on the first investigation. And, you know, I was glad to see the Williston paper put it in the paper so we could actually know as citizens what's going on. And I know you guys have been working on it hard, and you know, you guys are doing a great job trying to clean up a lot of things that were distressed, and I applaud you for that. So, but as far as them emails and stuff that she deleted, that's city property too. And I hope that someday soon that she gets charged for it all. Because if you or I would have did it, we would have been in trouble. The assumption that it's a conflict of interest, don't tread water to me, because when she got let go, she was no longer a Tioga City employee. So she had that no more, other than maybe they were friends or whatever, but it don't tread water. You know, when they get terminated like that, they're no longer a city employee. There's no conflict of interest for our police department to do their job. Thank you. You guys are doing a great job, and I know you guys are trying to do the best you can, and it's out of your hands now, but it could have been a little simpler, I think, but I could be wrong. But I know a lot of people come and ask me about it. And I had some folks call me about this Williston paper, and they asked if I'd come and talk about it. And I said, well, I can bring it up. But and that's all I got to say about that.
Okay.
Okay.
For Carabello, you got anything?
Updates are now. Wait for them to get ready.
You good? Happy? Okay. Tyler? Good. What you try? Good.
Over here.
Mrs. Stewart, do you have anything? Good. Thumbs up everywhere. This is too easy.
I wish someone would brought some cake or something, you know.
Do we need to start doing that? Like, our attendance has been poor. That table used to have stuff on it. Like,
I'll say, that I agree with Bob, you guys are doing a hell of a job.
Yeah, and I
I think the community thinks the same, and I just.
think we all need to be applauded. Thank you, guys.
well, hold on now. We're not necessarily doing a good job, period. We're just doing what the community wants us to do. I mean, you guys, so we're just doing what the community wants us to do.
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
that should be,
That's
that
what
should be
it's about.
pretty easy if you're willing to listen and just do, you know?
We went for 4 years of people not listening to anything the community wanted to say, and now you guys are doing it. And there's a reason why you guys are sitting there.
Thank you.
You guys are doing twice as much as you should. I mean, every time I come here, there's empty seats all the time. You know, so.
That's a good sign. When there ain't no seats there, people are happy.
I think Tyler's talking about something else.
No, we're gonna keep.
Good thing I know here very well.
Yeah.
Well, if we got nothing else, I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Hey, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:34 PM.
Thanks, guys.